Hello everyone, my name is Sarafi and I'm happy to meet you all. And today we have the patch notes for 5.9 coming for Legends of Runeterra. This will be on Thursday. Normally patches are on Wednesday, but they don't want to release it on September 11th because they are an American company and September 11th is the anniversary of a tragedy in America. So, we are going to see new stuff. We have 2 new champions coming to Path of Champions. Lots of new content. Let's talk about it. So, they are adding the Battle Pass back to Legends of Runeterra. It's been gone for months, and now we finally have it back. I have the Battle Pass right here. Let me get that pulled up. Okay. So, there are 2 tracks. There's the free track and the premium track, and you can see that the premium track gives you a whole lot more. But if you are just playing the game and you don't spend any money, you will get at minimum 40 Heimerdinger champion fragments. Excellent. That kind of, I guess that replaces the free Jason Pike and Caitlyn fragments that we got from the last 2 releases. A bronze reliquary, a silver vault, which is 10 champion shards, so that's pretty good. 5 cosmic blessings, 10 wild fragments, 500 stardust. 1 gold vault, 1 silver reliquary, 10 more wild fragments, 500 stardust, and 10 Bandle City star crystals. And Bandle City star crystals will be Heimerdinger star crystals. So there you go. That's pretty solid. And then you can see there are a lot more rewards if you choose to buy the premium. The premium will be 975 coins, which is 10 US dollars. And if you do that, then you get 60 RE fragments, 60 Heimerdinger fragments, 2 greater cosmic blessings. I think it's probably about 2,500 stardust. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4,000 stardust. 4,000 stardust, a bunch of reliquaries, 90 wild fragments, I counted those earlier, 1 platinum vault, 1 star vessel, 1 silver reliquary, then we have another silver reliquary, so 3 silver reliquaries so far, 10 Ionian star crystals, that's going to be Ari's of course, a silver star vessel, another platinum vault, a 3rd platinum vault, another 2 more silver star vessels, a major gemstone vessel for Bandle City, and a diamond vault. So that's 3 platinum vaults and a diamond vault for $10. You do have to actually play through the battle pass, which means you basically have to log in every day. But if you're the type of person who would pay $10 to get diamond vaults, I'm guessing you're going to log in every day anyway. So that is lots and lots of value. That is an absurd amount of value. And the best part is, the way that Battle Pass works is, if you, because there's the free progression, right? You can start just playing for free, and if you get halfway through the month and you realize, wow, I'm actually pretty far. Look at all the stuff I could get. You can just drop $10 there, and then you'll retroactively collect everything that you earned up until that point, and you can keep earning. So even if you don't buy this day of, you will still have the option to buy it later, which maybe some people want to do. So that's cool. Now, let's take a look at the new champion, which is Heimerdinger. Well, real quick, we'll talk about the new adventures. There are 3 new adventures coming. No, it's not Ari, but we got Bilgewater. They're taking Miss Fortune's half-star adventure, I believe. Who fought Miss Fortune in their half-star adventure? I think it was Alawi. Anyway, so they're taking the half-star adventure that Miss Fortune already had, that was against Miss Fortune that was already there, and they're putting it as a new 0.5 star adventure that people can fight, and they are giving you rewards which are fragments of the champion you used to complete it. And they're also adding those as additional rewards to Teemo's adventure. Now, this will probably only be like, you can do it like 5 times with 5 different champions, and maybe it gives you 5 shards each. But, I mean, hey, 10 shards on 5 champions you need to level? That sounds good to me. It's also easy 10 wins for your race to 1,000 games played for that next Diamond Vault. I know I'm only at like 400, so I'll be happy for some quick, fun, easy farmed guides. Next up, we have Noxus Darius at 2 stars. That was Jinx's adventure. Jinx fights Darius at 2 stars. Direct conversion of a story adventure while adding some more choice and extra loot to leveling champs. I don't know what the loot is going to be added for Darius. They don't tell us, but hopefully it'll be like maybe a silver vault or something. Could be good. And then we have Ionia. We have Yasuo at 4.5 stars. Now that is interesting. Currently the only 4.5 star adventure is Aurelion Sol. Aurelion Sol is very unique. You can't really compare Aurelion Sol's adventure to anything else in the game. But if they think that Yasuo is going to be on par with that, then I'm wondering if it's going to be unique in the same way that Swain and Lyssandra's adventure... Well, Lyssandra's adventure felt really unique, because Lysandra had basically a bunch of new enemies. And Swain did too, but they were not nearly as memorable. I'd be interested to see how this goes. There's going to be a lot of stunning. A lot of stunning going on, but, you know, I'll definitely clear it. I'll let you guys know what I think. Now then, let's talk about the new champions. First up, we have Heimerdinger. Everyone's favorite revered adventurer joins the Path of Champions. Heimerdinger not only comes with a full constellation of powers, but he also brings his exceptional wits and ballistics, a machine for sports ball, and wait, that invention looks smaller than the diagram. All those are Heimerdinger lines. Excellent attention to detail there. Alright, so we have 1 star power, Science, rare. Tech allies in hand and in play have a random upgrade for each time you spent 6 or more mana on spells. Now, how this works is these upgrades are not items, not like Black Cleaver or Philosopher's Stone or other items that we know in the game. They are similar. I assume that they'll do something similar where they give you stats and maybe some sort of benefit. But they are in their own little pool of things that are related to Heimerdinger and tech, and I'm sure that there'll be a lot of augment and other nonsense like that that feels very P&Z. Cool. Tech allies in hand and in play just get another upgrade every time that you spend 6 mana on spells. So if you created a tech ally, I guess, how does that work? It's weird that it says tech allies in hand and in play as opposed to just tech allies in general. When you create a tech ally, it does show up in your hand, and when you create a tech ally on the board, it shows up in play. So I don't know how this, is gonna work. It's very weirdly worded. But basically, you need to spend a bunch of money on spells, and then your techs will get better. And Heimerdinger's relic makes him a tech for some reason, so Heimerdinger himself will get upgraded as well. Not gonna lie, Heimerdinger seems like the worst part of the deck, to be honest. Pursuit of Progress, +1 starting mana when you Pursuit of Progress, +1 starting mana. When you summon a unit, refill 1 spell mana. That's excellent. So when you play spells to summon units, you refill your spell mana, and you keep summoning those units. Pretty solid. Then we have Science 2, which has 3 exclamation points instead of 1, which is very Heimerdinger-y. I will admit that. This feels a whole lot more like Heimerdinger than Arcane does. Tech allies in hand and in play have a random upgrade from an improved pool of upgrades for each time you spent 6 or more mana on spells. So, it's been clarified by the devs. We don't know what the pool of upgrades is yet, but it's been clarified that, number 1, you will be more likely to get the better pool 1 upgrades. And number 2, there are upgrades in the Science 3 that do not show up in the Science 1. So you need to get the 3rd star to unlock the best powers, and the better powers will show up more frequently than the bad powers. Cool. That's interesting, and I'm looking forward to it. Next up, we have Biggledust Sprinkle, which is a reference to Biggledust Sparkle, which is an existing epic power that makes all of your created allies get +2/+2. This one says when you summon a created ally, give it +1/+1, which is pretty good. That's more balanced. I don't know. I mean, They already gave Yip's Genius to Misfortune, but I guess they probably saw my video where I said that we should give Evolution to Victor, and they thought, we probably set a bad precedent here. Let's hold back on giving people epic powers and just kind of, like, start making our own powers for people. That's fair. If that was the case, then Riot, I apologize for suggesting that Victor should get Evolution, even though Victor is entirely based on Evolution, and the Evolution power is given to enemy Victor. I'm sorry. Anyway, this is a good power. It's very good for all the turrets that Heimerdinger is going to summon, and I look forward to getting this power on Aurelion Sol in the future. Mana Flow Gem, of course. And then for the legendary power, we have Eureka! Tech allies in hand and in play start with a game with 3 random improved upgrades. At the start of the game, summon a Mark 0 Wind-Up Shredder. Mark 0 Wind-Up Shredder is a 0/1 with Challenger. Sweet! That sounds awesome. So, you get this ability right from the start of the game, 3 extra upgrades, and then every time you spend 6 mana, you get another one. That sounds amazing. I don't know what these upgrades are, but getting 3 of them can't be that bad, especially on all of your units. So, yeah, I think I'm going to 6-star Heimerdinger. I'm looking forward to this. I'm going to play some science, chat. Looking forward to it. Next up, we have Ahri. The Nine-Tailed Fox has rediscovered her roots in Path of Champions with brand new powers and a full constellation. So there's reference here. I think that Caitlyn used to be part of Path of Champions. I don't know what happened. I guess between Path of Champions 1 and Path of Champions 2, they just removed a bunch of content, which seems weird. Why would they remove content? But whatever, you know. So I guess Ahri was in Path of Champions before. I don't know, but she's back now. So we have Spirit's Blessing. When you recall an ally, grants a spirit. Interesting. So Ahri, of course, recalls units all the time. She likes to recall her own units, which gives you negative advantage. But the way that Ahri specifically does it isn't too bad, because she will strike in place of that unit. Although she's only a 2/2, so that's probably not the best thing in the world. But then the other cards that recall your allies typically are pretty bad. So we'll see how good this is. You have to be pretty strong to do something like this without dying. Next, we have Whispers from Past Lives, which has the this is the 9 lives icon for summoning that cat. That seems racist. This card has nothing to do with Ahri. Oh, maybe. Wait, I think when it's recalled, you get the card that summoned it back, just like the tail guy. Maybe it is an Ahri card. Anyway, +1 starting mana. Units keep permanent stat buffs and keywords when recalled. When you recall an ally, reduce its cost by 1. That's crazy. So if you it's not just when you recall; it's when your opponent recalls too. When a card is recalled of yours, it keeps permanent stat buffs and keywords. That's really good. Which means that essentially you can stack Spirit over and over again if you keep recalling the same unit. Yeah, I like that. And then next up we have Spirit's Blessing 2. When you summon or recall an ally, granted Spirit. Now we're talking. Now I don't have to do any work. I just summon a unit and get Spirit. Okay. It's only +1/+1, but it can stack with itself and it can go, you know, that's Ahri's kind of game plan. At least, you know, I can't, if I brick and I don't get recall cards, I can very much start using this. So basically every card in Ahri's deck has +1/+1. We will remember that when we look at her cards. All right. Hold it. Round start, stun the strongest enemy. This is Darius's 4-star power, which was not given to Yasuo for some reason, because it says 3-star power. But still, this should definitely be a Yasuo power. We should be able to double stun. Just saying. Anyway, this is probably there. It has no synergy with Ahri at all, but it probably is there specifically so that Ahri doesn't die, because she's recalling her own units, which is a terrible idea. I don't know how this deck ever functioned in PvP. And then lastly, we have Parting Gift. When you recall an ally, it strikes the enemy next. When you recall an ally, it strikes the enemy nexus. I assume that it will get Spirit before that, because it's a PvE situation and they designed it. They usually design PvE interactions to best best suit the player, since there's no victim if the other side gets disadvantaged. So I assume that when you recall a unit, it gets +1/+1, and then it strikes the enemy nexus, and then it comes back to your hand. So that's funny, obviously. How good this is going to be, I have no idea. Every time that I see Ari, I'm just like, this is the dumbest card I've ever seen. But we'll see how it goes. All right, I've got both of their decks here, so let's take a look at them real quick. And we will start with Heimerdinger. Where's my boy? It's a little bit further down than I was expecting. There it is. Okay. So, Epic Scraptraption. Okay. I have to actually look at some of these cards because I don't actually hold on. I don't actually know a lot of the cards in Heimerdinger's deck because they seem to be from when I wasn't playing. Let's see. Okay. Epic Scraptraption. 1 mana, slow spell. To play, spend all your mana, summon a runaway scrap trap, and grow its stats to that amount. And a runaway scrap trap is a 1 mana, 1/1 tech unit. Okay. So, Epic Scraptraption, if you spend 6 mana on this card, you will summon a 6/6 tech unit, and you will grant it 1 upgrade. Cool. I mean, you can spend 1 mana to do it. You can spend 2 mana to do it. You'll refill your spell mana when you do it. I mean, it's fine. It's a fine ability. Seems perfectly in line with Heimerdinger. Next up, we have the Mark 1 Wrenchbot. This is just a 1 mana, 1/1 tech unit. Next up, we have Conchologist. Oh, as far as a 1 mana, 1/1 that does nothing, I mean, a tech unit is going to get benefits from Heimerdinger's star power, so it's okay that it does nothing. Conchologist, 2 mana, 2/1 Yordle. Play, manifest a spell from your regions that costs 3 or less. Pretty good. Piltover and Zon has some great spells, so yeah, this is fine. Aftershock, deal 3 damage. As soon as I saw this card, I was like, is Victor really coming? Because this is clearly Victor's spell, so I don't know why this is in Heimerdinger's deck. It's a slow spell, and it does also destroy a landmark. Doesn't really fit Heimerdinger too much, and I kind of wonder why they gave him this card instead of just Get Excited. It seems really like the benefit of not having to discard a card and also being able to destroy a landmark is really not worth it being a slow spell. So I'm kind of worried that this card in particular is going to be like one of Heimerdinger's worst cards. Next up, we have Flash of Brilliance. This card is dumb. If you've never seen Flash of Brilliance, it is 3 mana to create a random card in your hand that's a spell, and then you just refill your spell mana. So it's literally like it counts as a spell, and it counts for like spending your... sorry, it's a 6-cost spell. So you create a 6-cost spell in your hand, and then you refill your spell mana. So you basically get this card for free, but you also spent 3 mana, which a lot of like the decks like care about spending spells. Heimerdinger does too. I'm actually really surprised this card never made it into Jace's deck, because it's like the card that everyone associates with these 6-cost strategies. Heimerdinger, Lux, that sort of thing. This card is fine. 6-cost spell from your region. I don't think there are too many good ones in Piltover and Zon, but I mean, Progress Day is Progress Day, and that's Heimerdinger's champion spell, so it's fine. Let's see. Then we have Golden Crushbot, which is a 3 mana 2/5 tech unit that does nothing. Now I'm starting to get worried. There are 6 cards here. The Epic Scraptraption, the Mark 1 Wrenchbot, and the Golden Crushbot that do nothing. They are tech units, so they get upgrades, but they have no effects. Whether this is good or not, it's starting to sound kind of boring. I'm gonna tell you. I don't want to play vanillas. I have no interest in playing vanillas. There aren't too many vanillas in Path of Champions for that reason. So these upgrades better be interesting, because a 2/5 for 3 mana is not going to cut it. Not when I'm trying to have fun. Alright, next up we have Hextech Handler, which I've never heard of. 3 mana, 3/3 tech unit. Grant tech allies everywhere +1/+0 once you played a 6-cost spell this game. Okay, sure. That's pretty good. That card, see? Is it hard to print tech cards that have abilities? Now we have something to work towards. After the effect is resolved, then it's a vanilla unit, but it has an effect that you're excited about, so that's good enough. And then lastly, we have Hexbliterator. Hexbliterator is deal 6 to a unit. If it would die, obliterate instead. Cool. We have a 6-cost spell in the deck. It's a good spell. That's probably one of the better cards in the deck, and excellent. Now let's talk about Heimerdinger himself, for those of you that don't know. And I will pull the card onto the board this time so you guys can see it. Heimerdinger is a 5 mana 2/4 with when you play a spell, create a fleeting turret in hand with equal cost. It costs 0. So, for example, if Heimerdinger is on the board and you play your Flash of Brilliance, you will get the 3-cost turret in your hand, and it costs 0 mana. To level him up, he says, I've seen you summon 12 or more power of tech allies. And then when he levels up, it's when you play a spell, create a fleeting turret in hand with equal cost. It costs grant +1/+1, and it costs 0. Okay. So that's cool. Definitely interesting. The turrets all are the same. So if you spend 1 mana, if you spend 0 mana, you get the Mark 0, which is the 0/1 challenger. The Mark 1 is the Wrenchbot, which is the 1/1 that does nothing. Mark 2 is a 2/1 with Tough. Mark 3 is a 3/1 with Fearsome. Mark 4 is a 4/1 with Overwhelm. Mark 5 is a 5/1 with Quick Attack. Mark 6 is a 6/1 with Elusive. Mark 7 is a 7/1 with Barrier. And Mark 8 is T-Hex, which is an 8/8. And if you play a spell that costs more than 8, it assumes that it's 8. That's cool, you know. I don't foresee this being very good. Heimerdinger himself is pretty slow and expensive, and he's nowhere close to being Titanic. You cannot make Heimerdinger Titanic with items, which means he's not going to equip Scarforged Gauntlets. His Relic does not make him cheaper, so I don't think Heimerdinger is going to see any play at all. You just play a bunch of turrets without him, which is fair. All right. I'd say 10 out of 10 on the powers, probably 7 out of 10 on the deck. Looking forward to it. Now we have Ari's deck, and Ari's deck is up at the top, of course, because everyone's excited for this. All right, what we got? Okay, Dancing Droplet. Dancing Droplet is a 1 mana 1/1 with When I'm Recalled, draw a card. Perfect sense for her deck. Sparring Student, 1 mana 1/1. When you summon another ally, grant me +1/+1, or give me +1/+1 this round. Fine. There, Ari herself. Charm, which is I think it's something about vulnerable. Two mana focus spell. Recall an ally to give an enemy vulnerable this round. I hate focus spells. Okay. So you can focus to a focus spell that you're supposed to play like after you played a unit is so awkward. So you summon a unit so that you can recall it. Then you have to pass to your opponent. Then they kill your units, and you can't play the focus spell in response. It would be so much work. It would be so much better if this was a fast spell. I mean, yeah, recalling it at like burst speed is good, so I can see why like there's the benefit of you not having the spell interrupted if you play it when you have priority. why do you have to wait until you have priority? It just seems like this is not a very good effect, and I think it's slightly overcosted. So I feel like this card should be fast, but whatever. Mr. Root, which is, I believe, a 0/0. Or, no, it's a 0/1, right? Yeah, 2 mana 0/1 with Spirit, and when I'm summoned, draw 1. So, same thing as the Dancing Droplet, except in reverse. Dancing Droplet, you recall it, you draw a card. Mr. Root, you summon it, you draw a card, then you'll just recall it and play it again. Same thing. Set has Dancing Droplet as well, and his Dancing Droplet got Philosopher's Stone. So whenever you summon it, you drew 1, and whenever you recalled it, you drew 1. I assume that this will be the same for Ari. Sprite Dance. Let's see what we got for Sprite Dance. 2 mana, recall an ally to grant all stacks of its spirit to another ally. That's really good for the star powers. And it's fast, which is also really good. So yeah, solid card. I'm looking forward to that. That's probably going to be the best card in our deck. Then we have the Maker. The Maker is a Jin card, so interesting to see it in Ari's deck. I guess it is Ionian. 3 mana, 3/2. It has a skill. Play, recall a unit with less power than me, which I guess can hit Mr. Root and Dancing Droplet. It's weird. There aren't that many targets for the recalls in Ari's deck. It's basically just Dancing Droplet and Mr. Root, which is, yeah, that's kind of bizarre. Hopefully one of them will have the item that makes them start in your opening hand. Farsight Alteration. The item that makes them start in your opening hand. If Mr. Root has that, then we're talking. But otherwise, this deck looks like it might be a little bit inconsistent. Next up, you have Homecoming. Homecoming is a 4-mana spell that says recall both... I think it's recall an ally to recall an enemy. Recall an ally unit or landmark to recall an enemy unit or landmark. So yeah, you just target 2 units and then they both recalled. For 4 mana, it's the same as Yasuo's spell that recalls a unit, but you have to recall one of your own units as well. But if you consider that a buff for Ari, then it's a pretty decent discount. Yeah, but you can't play it if you don't have a unit, so it's awkward. Then lastly, we have Pathless Ancient, which is a 4 mana 4/3. I cost 2 less for each unit you've recalled this round. There we go. An actual benefit, some tempo to make up for the fact that you are going minus over and over with all these cards. Pathless Ancient, excellent card for Ari. Okay, maybe that's why she wasn't terrible in the PvP era. Okay, cool. So thoughts on these two decks. My thoughts are the same similarly. For Ari, I feel like she doesn't have enough units that benefit from being recalled. So I'm kind of worried that her deck will be very inconsistent. And with Heimerdinger, I feel like he has too many spells. So I'm worried that Heimerdinger doesn't have enough units to actually win games. A couple of his spells do summon units, but still, it is definitely concerning. With Ari, she has 1, 2, 3 spells, which is quite a few. Oh, I forgot to talk about who are like Ari herself. I'm sorry, chat. 1 second. Let me not get ahead of myself. Ari is a 2 mana 2/2 with quick attack, and her attack is the first time I attack swap me with the ally to my right, then recall it, and she levels up by you recalling 6 units. So how can I describe this? It's not support. It sounds very similar to support, but it's not. So Ari attacks on the left. Then you put the unit you want to recall immediately after her. When Ari strikes, she has quick attack, so she's not going to get struck back. She recalls the unit to her right, moves to that square, then strikes that. So if it's like another blocker, or if it's the Nexus, she will strike that again. Now at this point, the attack is over, so if the second unit has 2 or more, or like 3 or more health, then they get to strike Ari back, but otherwise, Ari got 2 hits in, and you got to bounce the unit back. It's an idea. It's a cute idea. A 2/2 with quick attack for 2 mana is not good at all. So she's very fragile and she's very weak, which are both problems. And her ability does not do anything to address that. Neither do any of the cards in this deck. She does become a 3/3 when you summon her, which is, okay, that's a little bit better. But you have to have her third star to do that. Now, her leveled up form. In this form, she has elusive. That's a lot better. So, 2 mana, 3/3, quick attack elusive. When you recall an ally, reduce its cost by 1. Attack each time I attack strike. Swap me with the ally to my right, then recall it. So now, she is like a blur, going across the battlefield, pulling all of your units back, striking in their place each and every time. That will give you spirit to your entire board, and then they get spirit back when you replay them. They all cost a little bit less so that you can get some tempo back. But if you don't replay them, then you've just wiped your entire board to deal 4 damage to like 5 targets, and now you just have a 4/4 left. So the fact that the deck does not buff Ahri in any meaningful way, +1/+1 is good. +1/+1 is fine. But the deck does not buff Ahri in any meaningful way, so I feel like this is not going to be good. This is like very similar to Yasuo, where the champion is like the hard carry for the entire deck, except for the fact that Yasuo gets huge. They put 2 different buffs for Yasuo in his constellation, and Yasuo will hard carry you. Ahri, not so much. Alright. But you do get to double strike, basically. So when her leveled up ability activates and you have Parting Gift, then essentially Ahri gets to attack everything, and then your other units all strike the enemy nexus. So it's like making them all have elusive, which is good. I mean, that's really, really strong. But you have to have a full board, and Ahri has to be leveled up, which is not easy to do. Okay, next up we have our relics. So Ahri's relic is called Essence Theft. When you recall another unit, grant me +1/+0. Which is not a power, so she has to be on the board for it. Power. Game start, create a Homecoming in hand and grant it double time watch. So Homecoming, of course, is 4 mana, bounce 1 unit on your side of the field and 1 unit on your opponent's side of the field. Double time watch is, at the end of the turn, reduce my cost by 1. And this is an indication that double time watch will not be the item card that Homecoming gets from her deck. But Homecoming will get some item card from her deck. So, if we get a good item on Homecoming, then getting that guaranteed as an extra card is pretty solid. It definitely helps you start your turn, but if you don't have a good target to recall, then that becomes kind of a problem. Heimerdinger's is called defense spending, which is inappropriate. It's funny because in Arcane he would very much be against defense spending. Anyway. Power, your Nexus has tough. Okay, so if Heimerdinger is not even on the board, your Nexus has tough, which is essentially an answer to the Swain adventure. So I am sure that a lot of people will want this relic just to put on every one of their champions so they can go bully Swain, because this just turns Swain off. I am Tech, which does not benefit anyone except Heimerdinger, but fair enough. The Big Old Dust Wrinkle is also a new power. New bundles, the Battle Pass bundle is $10. Heimerdinger has Celebration 4-star and 5-star. Ahri has Celebration 4-star and 5-star. I don't really know why you would want to get like a Celebration bundle when you can get the Battle Pass for $10 and get 60 fragments on both of them. I can understand why you would want to get a 4 or 5-star bundle, but not like the base unit. Alright. Next up, they are letting us know that these bundles will be cycled out. So in the patch after this one, you will no longer be able to buy Ilux, Misfortune, or Volibear bundles. So if you want free stuff for those champions, you'll have to go ahead and buy them now. In 5.11, you will no longer be able to buy Swain or Viego's bundles, which, again, if you want the free stuff, go ahead and buy them now. And that's it. Bug fixes that aren't relevant. Okay, there you go. That's the whole thing. 34 minutes of my discussion, my thoughts. I'm looking forward to the Battle Pass. I will play the new adventures. I'll let you know how everything goes. My name is Serafki, and I was thrilled to have all of you with me.